Hi, everybody. Thanks for being on today and welcome to our webinar. Today's webinar, as you see, is Goodbaby International Products Update, Evenflo and CYBEX. And as always, our webinar is brought to you today by State Farm and Safe Kids. So as you see, if the person that is registered for the webinar and is logged in will get credit, but if you are watching with friends, that's perfectly fine. All you need to do is quickly organize an in-person session. And by doing that, you just designate a lead, get a sign-in sheet prepared, and then you're going to add that CEU as an in-person session instead of as a webinar. So you're very welcome to watch as a group if that's what you're doing. And then also an email is going to follow after our webinar today that will give you the event ID number for one CEU for today, and that is where you're going to take that event ID number, put it into your profile as an in-person session. And lastly, if you can please, when you ask your questions, you can put those questions into the Q&A box instead of in the chat box. That would be great so we don't miss any of your important questions. So our objectives for today are, first of all, identifying the contact information for Goodbaby International brands and the key contacts, providing information on at least 3 new car seat models and their features, and discussing the importance of following manufacturer's instructions and guidance. And we are very honored to have 2 great speakers on the call with us today. First of all, as many of you know, Sarah Haverstick serves as the manager of the safety advocacy for Goodbaby International, which includes Evenflo, CYBEX, GB, and Urbini car seat brands. Sarah currently celebrated her 16th year in child passenger safety as an instructor and an instructor in the safe transportation of children with special healthcare needs. She also is the former chair of the National Child Passenger Safety Board and the Manufacturers Alliance for Child Passenger Safety. And we also have on the call with us today, Kelly Murphy. And Kelly serves as a brand ambassador for CYBEX. She's been working in child passenger safety for 19 years. She is a CPS instructor with also additional training in the safe transportation of children with special healthcare needs and the school bus transportation. Kelly lives in Connecticut and helps with the CPS events in her home state, as well as Rhode Island and Massachusetts. She is current member of the Kids in Motion Planning Committee. So we're happy that she is also on because, as many of you know, we just had the Kids in Motion conference. And so she and Sarah both have been very, very busy. So thank you both for being on. And with that, I will turn it over to you, Sarah.
Awesome. Thank you, Steph. I'm so happy to be here. For those that are still just joining, as Steph mentioned in the beginning, I live in Florida and on the west coast of Florida specifically. So the first bands of Hurricane Idalia have started to come through, and we're just going to cross our fingers that the next hour is just fine. So hopefully I don't dip out. But good news for you, we have other folks from our team on the line too. So you heard that Kelly is also on the line. She's going to present CYBEX information this afternoon. And then we have Brian Witt, who's one of our engineers on the Evenflo side, and Jessica Norris, who is one of our product managers on the CYBEX side, are both on the line as well. So when we get to that live Q&A that I love so much at the very end, we might have a few additional voices chime in. And we also, I know, have some other folks from our team that were joining us today that are just in there like you guys as attendees. So we think that these webinars are always really insightful for us. We love to share the work that we're doing, but more than anything, we love to hear your thoughts and your questions, and all of that helps our team. So we always try to have a number of team members on the line for these kinds of webinars too. So today I'm going to present for Evenflo and share some information that we have on new products and just some other topics we wanted to chat about today. So you may have heard we have a couple of spin-offs of our Revolve 360 rotational car seat. These are the 2 we're going to address, the Revolve 360 Extend and the Revolve 360 Slim. Both of these were designed with the #1 feedback that we heard after launching our original Revolve, which was we wanted options to keep kids rear facing longer. So both of these have been designed with an extended capacity for rear facing. So you can see they go from 4 to 50 pounds, additionally 17 to 48 inches for both of these products. The Extend is much like the original in terms of exactly how it looks and the amount of space it's going to take up in your vehicle. At the widest point, it's about 19.3 inches wide. And then the Slim, as it is named, is a little bit slimmer. So it comes in at 16.7 inches at the widest point, which is outside a cup holder to outside a cup holder. So even with those cup holders included, it's a really nice narrow footprint in your vehicle. Both of those pieces were really important pieces of feedback that we received from consumers after the launch of our original Revolve 360. Important also to know on the Extend, much like the original, it is a 3-mode product. So it is an all-in-one. You get rear facing, you get forward facing, and you get a high back booster mode. On the Slim, it's a convertible. So you get the rear facing and the forward facing 2 modes, and you do not have that additional booster mode. Both of the versions you see on screen right now have something that we call our quick clean cover. Say that 5 times fast. So the quick clean cover has some flag tags around the product that direct the consumer to places where it is easy to remove portions of the cover. And the cover really is a little bit piecemeal. So you can take off the part that needs to be cleaned, but you don't necessarily have to strip off the entire cover set. So this is just one tier from each of these products. After I go through a few more of the technical details, I will share full tier lineup of each of these. And again, you have the PDF of these slides already. And I think I just saw that Steph put it in the chat as well. So you can link to that and you'll have it as a copy. So you certainly don't need to try to write down all of the information from the slides as I present. So I wanted to cover, some technical details about both of these products at the same time, because more than anything, as we were working through these new spin-offs, we had a lot of really positive feedback on our installation and on the overall use of the original Revolve. So we wanted to keep things consistent and similar with these new versions of this product. So first, starting on the left with lower anchor weight limits. The Extend comes in a little bit heavier than the original, and the Slim is a bit lighter than the Extend. So you can see they each have lower anchor weight limits in both harness modes of use. They're a little bit different, but more than anything, in our product instructions, we note that the seatbelt is actually our preferred method of installation. So we would encourage you to use that seatbelt installation so that you never need to worry about those lower anchor weight limits in either mode of use. And you'll see the base of this product on the Extend and the Slim, although the Slim is a little bit narrower, it looks exactly the same as it did on the original. So all of the same touch points, all of the same installation, you still have the Lockstrong belt tensioning system. You still have an indicator underneath that belt tensioner to let you know when you have securely closed the belt tensioner. Because it's a tensioning device and not a lock off, when you do that seatbelt installation, you do still need to lock your vehicle retractor. And then in the center of the screen, I think maybe you can see my cursor. In the center here, we have our seat lock indicator. There's one on both sides. Just like the original, it is red right now because the car seat shell is not attached to the base and therefore not in a position for travel. This indicator must show green at all times when the vehicle is traveling. That means regardless of whether the child vehicle is going to be traveling. Additionally, just like the OG, on the Extend and the Slim, you will always use the tether. So both rear-facing mode and forward-facing mode, we want you to use that tether right out of the box. I think this is a really important feature to me because it draws some attention and awareness to this feature from the very beginning as the consumer first starts to work with this product. New on Extend and Slim, they are both aircraft approved. Important to know, these products, even the Slim, despite it being a little narrower, they're not lightweight. So if you are going to travel with this, keep that in mind. It's a little bit heavier. Additionally, you know that that aircraft seating environment is different than a vehicle seating environment. So therefore, we will have you bypass the belt tensioning arm and put that lap belt on the aircraft directly over the top, still within the blue belt guide, but over the top of the belt tensioner, because that latch plate on an aircraft belt ends up more in the center, which is going to interfere with our belt tensioning device. Remember, this is only for aircraft use. The only time you bypass that belt tensioner is if you are going to install it on the aircraft. So I mentioned, we're not going to go over this in huge detail, but you have these slides. So I thought it would be helpful to you if you saw a full lineup of what products are out there, and including the price points for each of the products. On the very far left, we still have the original or OG Revolve 360. It is exclusive at Walmart. So it still maxes at 40 pounds and 40 inches in rear facing mode. It's exactly the original. In the middle of the screen and to the right, you'll see our Revolve Extend, and that's what we were just talking about. So you can see how each version steps up a little bit in price point. The two on the far right are in our Gold family. So our Gold family has premium aesthetic design, look, and feel. Additionally, comes with sensor safe technology incorporated into the chest clip, and our Gold family has a lifetime warranty. On the far right, the green product is also our Green and Gentle. And this one is really exciting because we've never done this with an Evenflo product before. But these are fabrics that are made out of 26 recycled plastic water bottles, and they are flame retardant free without any added chemicals. So they meet the FMVSS 302 standard for flammability without having to add any additional chemicals. So pretty exciting. On the slim side, we also have 3 different tiers of this product. The one on the left is the opening price point. You can find that one at Target. Then you have that quick clean cover in the center. And again, on the right, we have a slim in the Gold family that comes with sensor safe and the lifetime warranty. So then the last new product that I wanted to touch on today is our SHYFT DUALRIDE infant car seat and stroller combination. So this is an infant car seat that is also attached to a stroller frame. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can see this product starts at 3 pounds and 15.7 inches. This piece was really important to our team. We spent a lot of time, myself personally, visiting with friends in NICU hospitals, working with our very, very tiny occupants so that we could confirm that this fit would indeed benefit those very, very small infants. This seat has an 8-position adjustable headrest with a no grease thread harness, has sensor safe on all of the tiers. So again, I'll show you at the end the different tiers for this product. The base features an integrated anti-rebound design, has a 5-position adjustable recline foot. The bubble level for your recline adjustment is at the very top of that anti-rebound area. We also, again, give you a lock-strong belt tensioner. Again, belt tensioner, not a lock off, so you will still lock your vehicle seatbelt. In this case, you have push-on anchors. We don't really care one way or the other. We do not have a preference for seatbelt or lower anchors because obviously you can use the lower anchors throughout the entire use period of this product. And then because this is a little unique and comes with that stroller frame attached and stroller wheels touch the ground where they can get dirty, we also give you these optional wheel wells. They are included in the box. You do not have to attach them to the base if you don't want to, but if you do, on this inset picture on the bottom right, you can see their purpose is to collect that dirt and yuck from that stroller wheels so that that doesn't end up on the back of your vehicle seat. If it does get really dirty, it's a muddy day, you were out taking a walk, you want to wash them, you can pop them off, and they are top rack dishwasher safe. Back to my tiny rider friends. Again, this piece was really important to us as a brand. We know that there are babies that are ready to go home under 4 pounds. We wanted to make this something that could also be accessible to those families. We spent a lot of time working with our team to design these soft goods inserts, and therefore that infant insert is required for those smallest infants from 3 to 6 pounds. You can see that listed on the label on the product. After 6 pounds, it is entirely optional. Take it out once baby starts to look a little squished, and it's fine. There is no upper weight limit to that infant insert. Additionally, we wanted these families to feel really well supported, and we included an entire page in product instructions to cover using this product with a smaller infant, just including some tips like this product comes with with harness covers. And when you're working with a really small infant, sometimes you need to remove those harness covers so that you can get the chest clip positioned properly. So we included tips like that to better improve the fit for the smallest occupants in the seat. However, and I don't think any of our tech docs team are on the line, so hopefully nobody will yell at me. We know that consumers don't always read our product instructions. So we also created a lot of how-to video content, including how to use this with a smaller infant, so that you can see visually how to make all of these adjustments and changes too. Another unique part to this product is that you can remove it from the base with the wheels, obviously, and then use it as a stroller. That's kind of the point. But you can also remove it from the base without that stroller frame attached. So you can just have a very typical infant carrier if that's what you need in that moment. And the infant carrier by itself is about 8 pounds. So it makes it really lightweight if you want to be able to move it around. Just to go through this quickly, and we did a webinar back when this product launched. That's over at carseateducation.org, where I went through this in a live video format. But just to walk through it, there's 2 release mechanisms from the back of this infant carrier, an upper handle and a lower handle. When you're removing from the base, if you squeeze the top one, you're just going to take off the infant carrier. When you squeeze the lower handle, you take off the infant carrier and the wheels together. Then when you're using this product in that stroller mode, those 2 release handles come back into play to do 2 different things. When you take it off the base, you squeeze the upper release handle, and then you're able to drop those stroller wheels and use it as a stroller. When you're done strolling around and you want to put it back on the base, you squeeze the lower release handle to drop those or to collapse the wheels back down so that you can put it back in the vehicle. Again, we have 3 tiers for this product. The opening price point on the left is exclusive at Walmart, so you can find that all across the country. In the center, we have a version that comes with a storage bag, so that's an additional accessory for use in stroller mode. And then again, on the right, we have a version in our gold family, again, premium design aesthetics that has a fully vegan leather wrapped handle, just some updated premium fabrics, as well as that carry-all storage bag. So that's the product discussion that I wanted to have. Then I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about some of the other work we do that's really important to us. And in particular, I want to talk about transportation for kids with disabilities. And you may have heard me talk about this in a webinar before. We have a medical waiver available. And basically, I came from a children's hospital. That's where I started my career in child passenger safety. So I had the very good fortune to work with some amazing OTs and PTs and do a lot of work with kids with disabilities. So it's an area that's really close to my heart. And we have a team that really feels strongly that if we can make transportation better for one kid, it's worth having that discussion. So we have this waiver to say that if you want to chat with us about an opportunity to maybe slightly modify a product or to use a product in a way that might be slightly outside of what we would typically allow in product instructions, we're willing to have the conversation. I can't always say yes to everything, and it's definitely a team conversation. We're going to ask for lots of pictures. We're going to want a lot of information. But we have this waiver, so that gives us a little bit of flexibility in having those conversations. But there's a few questions that I get repeatedly from friends in the field. So I wanted to address a couple of those topics specifically. And the first one is using this product called the Merritt chest clip guard. So Merritt Manufacturing is an adaptive restraint manufacturer. They have a number of products that are really fabulous for kids with disabilities, and includes this one, which is, a device that helps limit the child's ability to unlock or open a chest clip, or to push down that chest clip to then escape themselves from that harness. They've had this product out in the market probably about 10 years at this point, And I often get questions about whether it is compatible with any of our products. And up to this point, my answer has had to be no, because we haven't tested it. Until now, when we have tested it. So we were able to test this product on a few of our car seats, and you can see them on screen. First of all, if you've never worked with this product, you have to be able to remove the harness from a splitter plate. So you need to have access to that. So on some of our no rethread harness seats, it's just not going to be compatible because you cannot remove the existing chest clip and then add this different product. So we focused on the products that we think, for the institutional market, for folks that are distributing our products out in the field, and for products that you could actually make this adjustment. So this is the SHYFT Titan 65, which is a convertible, the Sona 65, which is also a convertible, and the Maestro Sport, which is a combination car seat. All of these, we have done crash testing. We did not have any concerns with the performance of our product in that crash test. So we will allow this use. So what that means is we have a little bit to understand. So first, we literally just launched a brand new website platform. So we're still working through some of the QA bugs with that, but you will find an FAQ and a waiver acknowledgement form soon on our website that the consumer would just be able to fill out on the website to understand how to use this device together with our product, and then it would be done. For now, if you know of a family where you would like to use this right away, you can just send me an email and I will send you our existing medical waiver form. So until we can get it up on the website, I'll just send you the waiver and you can just return that back to me. You purchase these devices separately. So we are not selling that chest clip. That chest clip belongs to Merritt Manufacturing. You can buy that on their website, which you can see the URL on screen. And they, vice versa, are not selling our product. So you can buy any of those 3 car seats from us or, anywhere a car seat is sold. So those two things are separate, but together. Certainly for questions, please send me an email and I'm happy to talk more about it. The other question that I've heard a bit is on booster fit for some of our older friends who need a little bit more torso support, but are otherwise of the size where they need to be in that booster seat and not the harness. On this one, I do not have information yet. I just wanted you to know that this is absolutely on our radar. We've already started some of the testing. We have a little bit more testing that we want to do, but basically you would be using the harness as a positioning and support harness, and then you would have the seatbelt, which I crudely drew in blue ink here. The seatbelt would then be positioned as a booster over the top of that harness. The use of this will absolutely require our medical waiver. So it's not something like that Merritt chest clip where we're going to just put it up on the website. You would have to talk to me directly, and I would provide you with that medical waiver. And we may, based on testing, have a few additional restrictions with this as well. But I'll have more info to come. Just wanted to share that out today. So then I wanted to close on a few FAQs about our products, and in particular, one that I see come up really frequently on social, and that's, why does Evenflo require this 1.5 inches of space between an Evenflo infant car seat and the front vehicle seat? So if you're not familiar with this, this is how this looks in our instruction manual. And again, this is only for our infant car seats. So if you're using an Evenflo infant seat, you will find this language in the warnings of our product instructions, basically saying, if you are installing it directly behind the driver or the passenger, we want to have 1.5 inches of space of clearance between any part of that infant seat and that front vehicle seat. So I promise you, this is not something we're doing just to add something else to the list of things that technicians try to remember and know about their products. We do this for a safety reason. So for many, many, many years, we have known that there is a danger of vehicle seat back deformation in certain types of crashes. Specifically, tends to be high speed rear impact crashes, in which think of what happens in a crash. You're going to move towards the point of impact. So in a rear impact, the crash is trying to pull that occupant towards the rear of the vehicle, which is towards that point of impact. And in certain situations, again, that front vehicle seat can deform into the rear occupant space. There's been research on this. This was a study published in an automotive medicine journal back in 2008 about, specifically if this were to happen, what is the impact on a rear seated occupant? And as you can imagine, the risk of injury increases when you are moving a front seat occupant and they are then going to take up space that would generally be part of that rear seat occupant space. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, this is sort of what it looks like. So that, again, that front seat is going to deform and go back into that rear seat space. Transport Canada is doing some testing around this as well. So this has been an issue for a while, and we want to understand, again, how are our rear seated occupants going to be impacted in this type of situation. And that's why we have this requirement. That infant car seat, as you can see just in a couple of comparison photos here on screen, the structure of the infant car seat is much different than that of those larger multi-mode seats. And this is just a really basic convertible on screen. But just between those two, you can see visually some of the differences between these products. We want that smaller, less structured infant seat to have the opportunity to rotate away in this type of crash, so that that infant seat has rotated forward like you saw in those pictures from Transport Canada before that vehicle seat back potentially would have the opportunity to crush and sit on top of the infant seat. So that's the reason we have this statement in our product instructions. So the next question is always, well, when I see this listed, people talk about 1.5 inches as if I'm asking for like a football field's worth of space behind this infant seat. And that's just not the case. And you really don't even need to pull out a tape measure to figure out how much space you need in this situation. Our harness, so the harness of every car seat in the United States, is mandated in the regulation to be 1.5 inches wide. So if you take your hand and place your fingers and place them directly over the top of that harness webbing, you can approximate that 1.5 inches of space. And then you just hold your fingers up behind that car seat. And as long as you have space for your fingers, whatever amount of space that was that you needed for that 1.5 inches on the harness, then you're fine. It's not a huge amount of space, but the space is critical to allow that infant seat the opportunity to move away in that type of crash. We have a blog on our website. Maybe you've seen it before. We also send out emails with our blogs. We often have the opportunity to write some safety-focused articles in the blog, and this is one in particular that I did write an article about, and I believe it is going to be posted in the first week of September. So if you want more information on this topic, you can look for that in our blog in about a week or two. And then the last update I wanted to share is, where can you find CEUs? We used to have a website called safetymadeeasier.com. We have moved away from that website because, quite frankly, I think it is really nice to only have one login. And carseateducation.org is a really great resource where you can log in and earn tons of CEUs. So we are moving all of our content that we had previously had on that other website over to carseateducation.org, so all of your CEUs can be in one place. So with that, I'm going to transition over to Kelly Murphy, who's going to share some of the updates we have going on with the CYBEX team.
Hello, thank you, Sarah. I am so happy that your power stayed on during this presentation. I'm super happy to be here to present today as the new brand ambassador for CYBEX. So my first webinar with CYBEX. So this seat here is our new CYBEX Aton G. It is a rear-facing only seat for use from 4 to 35 pounds and 17 to 32 inches. It does have an 11-position headrest adjustment, which is inclusive of a no rethread harness. The linear side impact protection is integrated into the shell. It does have a Euro belt guide on the rear of the carrier. in-shell air ventilation for comfort, and flame-resistant fabrics. The Aton base has a 4-position recline adjustment, push-on lower connectors. It does have our safe lock belt tensioner, and our recline indicator has 2 different color zones, blue for children 4 to 20 pounds and green for children 20 to 35 pounds. Along the back of the shell near the belt guide, as well as along both sides of the carrier, you can find our in-shell air ventilation. This technology provides natural airflow to keep your child comfortable and cool in some warmer temperatures. The body pillow of the Aton G has side wings that can be folded in for better support and to help with proper fit when securing a smaller child. We do recommend using the infant insert until the child is about 3 months old or weighs about 11 pounds. However, that infant insert and the harness pad covers are both optional. The Aton G has 3 buckle strap positions, and the buckle strap should always be as close as possible, but never under the child. And our Easy In buckle pad keeps the harness buckle pointing forward to help lessen the chance of the child sitting on the buckle, making it easier to place the child in the car seat and buckle them up. Our next new seat from the CYBEX line is the Aton G Swivel. The Swivel is the same carrier as the regular Aton G, so everything I just talked about in the previous slides carrier-wise is going to hold true for the Swivel carrier as well. The Swivel base has the same safe lock technology and the same push-on lower connectors as the regular Aton G base. However, the Swivel includes an anti-rebound bar, an on-the-fly recline, and a 180-degree rotation handle. The benefit of the 180-degree swivel is easy loading and unloading of the child. You can rotate and remove the seat when the base is in what we are calling the boarding position, or when the baby gets heavier and you don't want to carry that infant car seat, you can again rotate the base to the boarding position for easier loading and unloading of the child. When installing the swivel base, you'll rotate the base to the boarding position to access the belt path. For both lower anchors and seatbelt installations, you will need to open the safe lock belt tensioner to feed your seatbelt through the belt path or to connect and adjust your lower anchors. There is a line on the rear of the carrier that will match up to a line on the base when the carrier is rotated from the boarding position to the travel position, indicating a correct installation. The base will not lock in the boarding position, helping to eliminate any potential misuse. The swivel base also has an on-the-fly recline. So after you click the carrier in, then you engage the recline. You're going to squeeze the handle on the rear of the base, so right about where that green arrow is, and then adjust the recline as necessary. So it moves back and forth, or it flies per se. The Aton G carrier can be used with either the standard Aton G base or the Aton G swivel base. Both of the bases are sold as standalone accessories, and the Aton G can be purchased as a system with either base. Seen here is the CYBEX Cloud G, another one of our rear-facing only seats. Rear-facing only 4 to 35 pounds, 17 to 32 inches. Some cool features on the Cloud G include an anti-rebound design, our safe lock belt tensioner, rigid latch, and the Comfort Extend backrest. The Luxe version of the Cloud G adds a load leg and sensor safe. And Sensor Safe is our Bluetooth technology integrated into the chest clip to alert the owner via a phone app of certain events. If the chest clip becomes unbuckled, if the temperature inside the vehicle becomes too warm or too cold, or perhaps if the child is left unattended in the vehicle. So when we talk about installation for the Cloud G and the G Luxe, the first thing you do is fully extend the rigid latch by pressing the 2 buttons on both sides of the lower anchor connectors. And then you're attaching the connectors to those lower anchors. Each connector will make an audible click and a green indicator will be visible on the release button. Next, you adjust the leveling foot to achieve the correct recline, and lastly, push on the base until it rests flat against that vehicle seat back. When used outside the vehicle, the backrest on the Cloud G and the G Lux can be reclined and the leg rest extended to provide an ergonomic positioning and comfort for your child. Again, when used outside of the vehicle on the stroller frame, the Cloud G and the Lux can be reclined. That backrest reclines and the leg portion moves outward. The Cloud G and the Lux cannot be reclined on the base and should not be installed baseless while in that reclined position. So, because of the hurricane, the CYBEX Virtual Car Seat Safety Summit has been postponed until September 14th. 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern, and as Sarah stated earlier in the webinar, she is on the west coast of Florida, so the concern was Sarah not being able to be on, and we all do love our Sarah. So if you have not already registered for this, please do so. There will be information on car seat misuse, regulatory updates, resources available around the country, and hoping to have a live crash test from our crash test facility in Europe. Registration, again, is required, so if you scan that QR code for more information on how to do that. And here is Sarah's information, my information, Patsy and Eve, who are institutional sales for Evenflo. Again, there's always a tech discount, and then we have our customer service numbers there for Evenflo and CYBEX.
Awesome. Thanks, Kelly.
You're welcome.
For the tech discount, you can message myself or Kelly. We need a copy of your certification card, and we'll be able to help you with that information. And Steph, I think we're ready for questions.
Very good. Well, thank you both. That was really good information. Appreciate both of you being on today. And there are several questions, so I'm going to try to combine any that are similar, and I think we're going to have plenty of time to get through all of them. So Isabella is asking, will Evenflo be coming out with the option to buy extra bases for the SHYFT DUALRIDE? And if so, is there any estimated date or timeline for when they may be available?
That is a great question, and it is, I'll say, a work in progress right now. So I can't give you a date at this point in time, and it's just a little bit unique. Again, SHYFT DUALRIDE is a unique product, and the issue with a secondary base is that the stroller frame is always going to be attached to the base, and you can't install the infant car seat by itself on the base without that stroller frame. So you can use it, as I showed in the picture, you can take it off of the base with just the infant carrier, but then the stroller frame stays behind on the base, or you can take the whole thing with the wheels and all off of that base. So we have a few things that we're working on with regard to that secondary base, but it is just a little bit more complicated because it's not a typical infant car seat.
Great. Erin is asking, are the manuals on the Evenflo website, are they regularly updated? And she's finding that they often show as 4+ years old and wondered if they're considered up to date. She just depends on them a lot when she's doing virtual checks.
Yeah, we try to keep them updated, but you know that the Evenflo lineup it's quite extensive, and we do frequently have manual changes. So we try to get it updated. If you ever find an instruction on the website that you think is maybe older or not current, you can always send me an email, and then I can work with the team to make sure we do have the most current version on the website. We always remind, and we have a disclaimer, you know, we have all of our manuals for every product is listed on that website, but you need to be using the instructions that are relevant to the actual date of manufacture of your product. And as an example, I think Revolve is a good example. So you have the original Revolve, which was not aircraft approved. And in product instructions, it says you may not use this on an aircraft. newer versions of Extend and Slim are aircraft approved. Additionally, new versions of original Revolve will be aircraft approved too, but I can't make that a retroactive change because your label and your instructions for the product that you have to state aircraft approval. So there's small things like that where it really is important that it's not just that you're using the newest version of instructions, because those instructions may have changed from the instructions that are actually relevant to the product that's in front of you. And the way that you know that is you can always contact customer service, and they can help and they can figure out exactly which version of instructions belongs to the product that you're working with as well.
Excellent. And for those of you that are interested, thanks, Amy, for putting into the chat the link for the CYBEX, the Car Seat Safety Summit there. So if you are interested in that, that registration link is in the chat for you.
Yeah, thanks, Amy. That was
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
Marla's asking, what is the lowest shoulder harness height on the SHYFT?
I saw it on my screen, so I went and measured mine, and it comes in at about 5.5 inches, so a little bit under 6 inches. You know, it always depends on how much that baby is compressing the soft goods underneath, but you're sitting there right around 5.5, 5 3/4.
Awesome. That's great. And then a question is, if your vehicle doesn't have a switchable retractor, can the locking clip be used with a Revolve? And if it is allowed, should the locking clip, should it be done before closing that tensioning system to avoid breaking the mechanism? And the same question with the SHYFT.
It's a great question. Yes, you may use a locking clip. You do have to have a locked vehicle belt system. So if you do not have another way to lock the vehicle belt, that locking clip is what you would use. I don't know that I have worked through. I mean, Whit, if you want to chime in here too, I think you could, you know, sort of do it like you do any other locking clip, which is close first. And then, you know, that way you have figured out the amount of locked webbing that you're going to be locking, and then add that locking clip. In this situation, I think it's going to be extra a little bit hard if you unbuckle and then go to rebuckle, because you do have a lot of tension there, but it's probably not impossible if you did it that way either. Whit, do you have any other thoughts on that one?
Yeah, it would be interesting and different if you did it like after you did the strong arm, and I don't know if that would be more or less difficult that way. You could probably do the strong arm and then unbuckle, and you could totally do it that way, or you could do it the other way, and I don't really know which way would be easier, but it would be fine either way, and the kind of lock strong arm on either one would be doing most of the work in either one too.
And Julie, I think that question came from you. I was watching on my screen. So now I'm curious and I will try it. So feel free to shoot me an email and we can chat about that offline too.
Yeah, and remember that on the screen right now is the contact information. So anything that doesn't get asked, or maybe you think of later, please feel free to write these contact informations down, and you can sure reach out to them later as well. Danielle just doesn't want to assume, can you use the Merritt chest clip guard on the Sonus, not the 65?
So we specifically tested the 65, and that was one of my takeaways from Kids in Motion last week. I'm going to chat with the team about their thoughts. The Sonus regular, for those that don't know, has a 50-pound max harness, and the structure of the product is different than that of the Sonus 65. So let me go back and chat with the team, which would include Whit, but we'll have a larger conversation with everybody, and I will get back to you on that. So ultimately, when we have the information posted on the website, if it is allowed, I'll also list that product too.
This question from Crystal is for anyone also on the team. Have you ever considered making a narrow high back booster and affordable 3-across boosters needed on the market?
That is great input, Crystal. One of our product managers is on the line right now, Jessica from the CYBEX team, but it's certainly something that we can share back with the team as well. I think narrow is certainly on everybody's mind. That is definitely something that we have heard from consumers as well as technicians, but I think you'll see more of that kind of information soon.
Okay. And then going and a little bit more conversation with the 1.5 inch gap in a rear end crash. Lauren is asking, with that 1.5 inch gap to allow the car seat to rotate away, do you then see any child injuries when they hit the rear seat back?
Well, I think that's a big reason why we do all of this additional testing too. So that's part of what you saw, Transport Canada wasn't specifically looking at, what we say around 1.5 inches. They're trying to better understand what happens in these rear impact crashes, both with that deformation, but also, what else is going on in that crash and what happens specifically with rear facing occupants. So I don't know that we have, and Whit can correct me, I don't know if we have any real world data that would suggest a severe risk of injury there, but I mean, it's something that we look at because we don't ever know what kind of crash you're going to get into. So we try to really look holistically at different types of crashes and what could happen and how can we better design product to help in those situations.
Nicole asked here in the chat, is the Merritt buckle guard included in the approval along with the chest clip, or is it just the chest clip?
Thank you for asking that question because I meant to say it and didn't. The buckle guard is not included in this because the buckle guard that Merritt Manufacturing uses is not compatible with the Evenflo buckle. So it's a different shape. It will not fit over the top of our buckle. I have had conversations with Shane Merritt about this. I think he has a prototype that would potentially work with our buckle. I think, obviously we'd be willing to chat with him and work closely with him on that. But it's not something that's available at this time. So you may not use that buckle guard with our product.
Okay. And I think, Melissa, you had asked a question very similar in the Q&A to that too. And I think that Sarah just answered that. If not, go ahead and add anything to that maybe wasn't clarified. Kimberly is asking on the CYBEX seats, does flame resistant fabrics, does that mean that there are no chemicals?
So Sarah, I'm going to defer to you in the goodness of good, better, best. I just want to make sure there's no misinformation given here.
Yes. So, for flammability, we have to meet Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard 302. That's the flammability standard. And typically we have to treat the fabrics that we use with some additional flame retardant chemicals in order to meet that flammability standard. In this case, all of the new CYBEX soft goods moving forward are utilizing a fabric that does not require any additional added chemicals to then still meet that 302 standard. And that was the same too with that Evenflo green and gentle fabric. Same situation there. The fabric itself allows us to meet that requirement in the regulation without adding any additional chemicals to the product.
Okay, very good. And then also with CYBEX, what are the expiry periods for the CYBEX seats?
So the infant carriers or rear facing onlys that were presented today are 6 years from the date of manufacture.
Okay. And then also, Kelly, with CYBEX, does CYBEX also have that 1.5 inch requirement?
Sarah, going to defer to you. I know my answer, but again, I want to just make sure as misinformation.
It is not a CYBEX thing. This is just an Evenflo requirement in our product instructions.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. And then Riley asked, can you bypass the tensioner when there's a convenience loop on the seatbelt that interferes with closing it?
No. So the only time on Revolve, I'm assuming is where we're going with this. The only time on Revolve that you can bypass that belt tensioner is when you're installing it on an aircraft. In the vehicle, you need to use it. Now with convenience buttons and the web loops, you can try to scoot the seat itself. Again, with Revolve in particular, you're installing just a base. So it's a little bit easier to do. You have a little bit more room to work around while you're in the vehicle. You can scoot it one way or the other way and see if that gives you enough clearance. Additionally, with that web the webbing loop, if that's what it is. I've seen in some cases you can kind of bend that webbing back and it'll give you, again, a little bit more clearance to work with. It really just depends on the vehicle that you're working in.
Okay, and then Kimberly asked, is there an option to replace the sensor safe chest clips with a standard clip if there would be a parent that is concerned about not wanting Bluetooth radiation near their child?
So the good news is for both brands, Evenflo and CYBEX, in most situations, we have other options. So you can buy a version of the product that has sensor safe, or you can buy a version that does not have sensor safe in most of those situations. For some of our products, and again, it's going to be dependent on the type of harness system. In some cases, you can, remove that harness webbing and access the chest clip and therefore take off the chest clip and replace it, potentially, maybe. Now, chest clips are not part of the federal regulation, but we test our product with the chest clip. And if we are going to change the chest clip on our product, you can believe that incorporates and requires additional crash testing to be able to do so. So if you are in a situation where you have a consumer that has concerns or has questions, they can certainly reach out and ask what the options are. The additional bit that I will share to that end, and we have a product manager who is wonderful, and her entire role is technology and specifically sensor safe. She could probably give a much better answer than I could in this moment. But the emission from the sensor safe chest clip is really a short period of time, like millisecond kind of period. And over a very long car ride, we're talking in the 1 or 2 second kind of range. So there's not a lot of communication that happens. It's just really quick little blips. I just saw Judy mentioned in the chat over here, you can remove that battery too. So on the newer versions of sensor safe, the battery compartment is accessible and that battery is replaceable. So you could always just remove the battery and then your chest clip is no longer functional at that point in terms of a sensor safe functional chest clip. So certainly that could be an option there too. But they can always reach out to customer service and our team can help walk through what options might be there.
Very good. Melissa did add a follow-up in the Q&A, and her follow-up is, Evenflo going to wait for Merritt to resolve the incompatibility, or is Evenflo considering using the ME square buckle in the future for this purpose with the waiver?
Buckle decisions are a big decision. That's, we work with a number of different component manufacturers when we do things like that. So my guess is we won't be changing the buckle on these products at any point in the near future or otherwise. So it's certainly something we could keep in mind potentially for a future product. Do you have anything else you'd want to add on that?
No, I would have said exactly the same thing. There might be a seat in the future, or there might be a change in the future where we change back to that ME square buckle, but I don't know of any of those plans in the near future.
Okay, and then also going with the buckle, is there any information on the website regarding the Merritt clip option?
There will be. So we just literally about a week and a half ago transitioned to a new web platform. So you will have an FAQ posted, but it's not quite live yet.
Margaret asked, her manual for the original Revolve 360 doesn't say anything about locking the seatbelt after. So she's guessing that she needs to, but confirmation on that?
You do need to lock the belt, and it is in the product instructions, but if you want to email me separately, I can show you where to look in the instructions. Additionally, if it actually isn't there, but should be, you can show me, there's information on our product instructions where you can tell me exactly what part number you have and what the revision date is, and we can, take a look at that too, but it is in product instructions, and I'm happy to share some screenshots of that.
Perfect, Sarah. Alexandra is asking, it was mentioned that the CYBEX was side impact tested. And was it tested to the new 213 regulation? And if not, is there an anticipation of any significant design changes to meet that standard?
Kelly, I have a good answer on that one.
Go right ahead. I have some notes floating around in my head, but you go right ahead.
With our previous slide here, if you register for our virtual safety summit, a big chunk of that summit is going to be a discussion on regulatory things that are happening, and specifically 213A, which is the side impact test that is being referenced here. So that's a big piece of what we're going to do. And the crash test we're going to run is actually a side impact test as well. So that'll be really fun to see live and in person, which will be great. So I encourage you to join that if you have the ability to do that. We are both brands currently testing to 213A right now. There's a lot of work to do. There's definitely a reason why the regulation gives us a 3-year phase-in period, because there's a lot involved in bringing existing and new product up to date with this new standard. Additionally, when we talk about product development, these products that both Kelly and I presented on today, even the ones that are just brand spanking new, I mean, we started work on these projects 2 to 3 years ago in some cases. So, you know, our product timeline goes pretty far out, and we start work on these things well before this final rule was finally announced last year. So yeah, it takes some work to get these existing and new products up to speed with the new 213A. We, for both brands, Evenflo and CYBEX, have been doing side impact testing, excuse me, for many, many years. So the side impact test that we're actually going to run during this webinar is going to be the European side impact test that, you know, we typically run in our lab in Germany. So we've been doing these tests for a long time too. They are similar in some ways or slightly different than what the new 213A will be, but you'll definitely be hearing a lot more about 213A as that comes into play next summer.
Okay, and going back to that summit, the question was asked, is there a registration link for the safety summit that's not the QR code? And I just put that again into the chat. So that is there for you, as well as thank you, Jody, for the follow-up that the seatbelt needing to be locked is on page 60. So that's great that you're all out there helping out and putting those kind of questions and those answers into the chat as well. And we are almost out of time. Oh, go ahead, Sarah.
I have happy face smiles. I'm getting pings from the customer service team too. So big hello to our customer service reps who are joining us today, because you guys are awesome.
That's great. Well, we are just about out of time, but I'm gonna hand it over yet to Sarah and Kelly for the next slide, and then we'll close up.
So, because we love talking to technicians, we have 2 product giveaways to share today. We'll be giving away a CYBEX Aton G Swivel and an Evenflo Revolve 360 Extend. They have to ship to US addresses at this point, but I think Stephanie will draw those names based on the people that are here today. And then she usually posts that on the Facebook page.
I will put that on the Facebook page by this afternoon right away. I'll do the drawing, random drawing when I get off here, and I will put it on the Facebook page. And then Sarah and Kelly will be reaching out to you to say, congratulations, you're the winner, and getting your information to send that off to. So Sarah, Kelly, or anyone on the team, before we close, anything else you'd like to add?
Just thank you for joining in and taking the time out of your day to be with us and learning all about the CYBEX and Evenflo brands. And again, for any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and I will, if I can't answer a question for you, I will certainly find someone that can. So thank you for having me.
And thank you, Stephanie, for hosting this all the time. And thanks to everybody for your time this afternoon.
You are more than welcome. And yes, that I saw in the chat as well, that the Facebook page is the certification Facebook page. And so that's where I will post the winners. And then remember that tomorrow afternoon after 2 p.m. Eastern time, that is when Zoom will send you a confirmation email that will have your event ID number on there for the CEU. If you don't get that after 2 p.m. tomorrow, please check your spam. If it's not there, then my email's right there. Shoot me an email. I'll confirm your attendance and I will send you a confirmation email. So again, with that, thank you both. Thank you to the entire team for being on today. And it was another great webinar. Have a great day, everybody.